Valorant is finally in its full release, and now we have a couple of weeks to prepare and get ready for ranked. Means we have a few days of practice and learning in order to achieve the goal that you desire, achieve the rank that you desire. And I'm gonna give 10 little tips to get better at this game. These are gonna be kind of beginner level tips, general things that I've seen lower ranked players do very often. And we'll get right into it. So for tip number one, it's definitely crosshair placement. I'm sure every single video on getting better at the game shows it or talks about it. And ultimately this game is decided on how fast you can kill someone. And if your crosshairs directly where they're supposed to be, your time to kill is just insanely fast compared to walking around with your crosshair on the floor and having to flick up. Now for general areas like this, you should always have your crosshair up. And certain places you're gonna have to kind of get used to it is when you have to pull your crosshair down, depending on the elevation of the map, but that'll just come with time. And definitely improve on walking around with their crosshair in the right area. Try to look at entrances where they're gonna be instead of looking on the floor, looking at the wall when you're swinging. Just kind of work on it. Practice a lot, play a lot, and be mindful of your crosshair placement. And for tip number two, on top of your crosshair placement, having a good sensitivity is very important. Generally, you want a slower sensitivity because it allows more room for error and your shot can be a lot more stable. Because if it's too fast, there's no real point. You don't really need to 360 and flick many people. Very rarely do you have to 180 and kill someone. That's probably, if you have to 180, it just means your positioning is probably bad generally. So you want to find a good sensitivity where you can kind of control your aim and be very consistent and be stable. So I recommend lower sensitivities. Doesn't mean you can't play well with a high sensitivity, but I promise you, just getting used to the slower one will be better overall, better in the long run. And the next tip, we'll say tip number three, is finding the right agent for you. Right now, I believe every agent is pretty good. Every agent is playable, no one's really bad. But you should play an agent that fits your playstyle. If you like rushing and playing very aggressive, maybe Sage isn't ideal for you because she kind of wants to bait people and heal and trade and res. So if you have a natural aggressive playstyle, you want to play someone like a duelist, or say you are trying to force yourself to play Jet or something and you're more passive, maybe you're better off playing someone like Sage or Cypher, where you have more control and you can slow down. Definitely experiment with agents, kind of learn about what you like to do. And tip number four is ability usage. Now make sure you use your ability. There's too many times where I see people get really, greedy with their abilities. For example, you're playing Phoenix here and you know for sure people are mid. What's the point of playing Phoenix and dry peeking if you're not flashing out? Not only that, try to maximize your ability usage or use it correctly. It's always pretty good to layer your slow with someone else's molly or brimstone ult, for example. And making sure you have a good grasp on your abilities. You know how to rotate your walls, whatever agent you're using. Knowing where to place your wall or where to use your abilities. Make sure you know your lineups. Study everything with your agent for sure to get the maximum potential out of your agent. And tip number five is good econ usage. This comes with time and understanding of the game and the economy system. It's going to be really hard to break down the econ system very quickly, but it's just, for example, say you have over 40 shield. Excuse me. Generally, if I have over 40 shield, I don't upgrade and buy new heavy shield because you can still take a headshot from a phantom if you're above 40 shield at certain ranges. And I don't think it's worth 1,000 credits just the max. Say on rounds like round 2 and rounds where you know the enemy is poor, you can go ahead and buy something cheap like a Marshall instead of buying an operator, because your marshal's gonna act like an operator and one-shot them anyways, and would save you a lot of credits. It's just stuff like that. Playing agents like Jet, maybe you don't even want to buy a gun, you just want to buy armor and ult. You just gotta kind of understand, get the feel for the game. You gotta know what weapons they're buying. If they're on a save round, maybe you don't want to buy too hard and just try to, you know, buy Marshall or stuff like that, or maybe not refresh your armor from the previous round if you know they're just all on deagles or something. Kind of get a feel for the game and understand your money and their money, especially with your teammates' money. You can kind of make a, you know, a smart financial decision depending on how much money you guys have, how much money they have. Say they have no money and your entire team has money, and you know one person or two people are trying to save guns. It doesn't really matter if you guys lose a gun, but it's very important if they save the gun, so you want to make sure you hunt them. Ooh, and for tip number 6 is don't reload. I know it's very vague, but people reload way too much at lower ranks. You essentially only need one bullet to kill someone. Now I know it's kind of awkward to walk around with only like 4 or 5 bullets left, and it's kind of scary. It makes you want to reload, but trust me, you don't need too much. Of course, when you're really far from everyone, especially in the beginning of the game, you can go ahead and reload. I'm gonna turn off the infinite ammo real quick, right? You can go ahead and reload when you're really far from everyone. But if you're starting to push up or you're in the center of the map, there's too many times where I see people getting caught. I'll see them shoot around here about, you know, roughly 7 bullets. And then they walk up here and they reload. You give them information that you're there. You can honestly shoot your 7 bullets. You're still walking around with 18. And you have more than enough ammo to kill people, for sure. And there's a lot of times where I see people reloading, and they kind of peek while they're reloading during the reload animation, which gives them a small window to kill you. You gotta make sure you fully reload before you decide to peek. Be a little patient and then peek out. Yeah, I think generally though, people reload way too much. Okay, and for tip number 7, I would say practice using good guns. Well, good guns is very subjective because every gun in this game is usable. Generally, I would say get used to using the Phantom and the Vandal because they're both very powerful weapons. They can both pretty much essentially one shot or one tap. And I know a lot of people steer away from these weapons because they don't want to learn the spray, or the spray's too hard for them. Now that's not saying Guardian's completely bad. I know I've definitely seen a lot of people using the Guardian instead, but you're not gonna fully be able to reach your peak potential if you're not using the Phantom and Vandal. I've seen a lot of lower rank players use these 4 guns in particular, actually. Lots of people use the Spectre instead, and the whatever gun that's called. I already forgot that gun's called. I'd never used the Stinger Spectre. The Bulldog because they like bursting. It's easier for them to control and they ADS a lot. And by no means are these guns bad, but it's definitely good to be very efficient with the Phantom and Vandal. If you're only good with shotguns, sniping, and even just these SMGs, for example, you're gonna handicap yourself for the longer range fights and your maximum potential. I definitely recommend practicing your Phantom and Vandal shot. For tip number 8, we have movement. Now movement is pretty important. You don't have to be like a bee hopping monster or anything, but being able to get out of certain situations very fast. So you're getting mollied in this corner and you need to, you know, really bounce. It helps a lot to be able to have really clean movement, especially when you know someone is opping C long and you want to bait a shot. Sometimes I'll even mess up, but you know, if you want to bait a shot out, you can kind of swing in and out, get the shot out, and then you can kind of make a play after, compared to just swinging out with your gun, taking that 50-50. They're already holding the angle, they're gonna snipe at you. When you're jump spotting, I guess people like to call it, Instead of jumping straight up and down, especially with your gun, you're gonna give them a lot of time for them to pop you in the head. You want to jump up or like side to side with your knife. You're a bit harder to hit. They still can hit you. It's just you're just a little bit safer. I guess this location is kind of a bad area to, yeah, kind of like this, you know. Just try to get some info. Just jump over. Don't want to get caught jumping straight up and down. Tip number 9 is audio cues. Please, I don't know, maybe people aren't playing with headsets, they're playing with their speakers or something, but please pay attention to your audio. Audio's your best friend. You need every competitive advantage you can take. You should understand the sounds of the ultimates, the audio cues, the sounds of bomb plants, bomb diffuses, footsteps, reloads. Just use every audio cue to your advantage. There's times where I know it can be confusing, but there are times where like I full sprint beside someone and they don't even hear me and I can still just get the kill. Or they're playing post plant and they're just unnecessarily peeking. You know, for example, you're in this 1v1 situation and bomb is planted for you A. You don't really have to peek or make any noise or move. You can literally sit here and not do anything and just completely wait for the bomb sound to get picked up. When you hear the bomb get picked up, you can move your way up. But if they tap the bomb and you hear them use an ability, you hear them step, you hear them reload, you can honestly just stay here. What I really recommend, you hear them tap the bomb and you hear them do something after, they're clearly not defusing. So you just literally just sit here, wait for them to tap the bomb again and waste more time. Just work on understanding audio cues, how to abuse it as well. Sometimes, you know, for example, tapping it and you can just hold an angle, wait for them to come out, or diffuse to half and wait for them to come out. You know, someone's playing A usually, you can tap the orb, wait for them to peek and get the kill. You know, use audio sounds to your advantage. Try to throw people off. Tip number 9 is audio cues. Please, I don't know, maybe people aren't playing with headsets, they're playing with their speakers or something, but please pay attention to your audio. Audio's your best friend. You need every competitive advantage you can take. You should understand the sounds of the ultimates, the audio cues, the sounds of bomb plants, bomb diffuses, footsteps, reloads. Just use every audio cue to your advantage. There's times where I know it can be confusing, but there are times where like I full sprint beside someone and they don't even hear me and I can still just get the kill. Or they're playing post plant and they're just unnecessarily peeking. You know, for example, you're in this 1v1 situation and bomb is planted for you A. You don't really have to peek or make any noise or move. You can literally sit here and not do anything and just completely wait for the bomb sound to get picked up. When you hear the bomb get picked up, you can move your way up. But if they tap the bomb and you hear them use an ability, you hear them step, you hear them reload, you can honestly just stay here. What I really recommend, you hear them tap the bomb and you hear them do something after, they're clearly not defusing. So you just literally just sit here, wait for them to tap the bomb again and waste more time. Just work on understanding audio cues, how to abuse it as well. Sometimes, you know, for example, tapping it and you can just hold an angle, wait for them to come out, or diffuse to half and wait for them to come out. You know, someone's playing A usually, you can tap the orb, wait for them to peek and get the kill. You know, use audio sounds to your advantage. Try to throw people off. And tip number 10, I will just say general game sense and map awareness. That's definitely something you can't really teach. Kind of just happens over time, over playing. I mean, you can teach it, but it'll only be refined through lots of playing. In terms of game sense, a lot of lower ranked players have a difficult time knowing when to sprint or when to walk. There are times where there's only 10, 20 seconds, 30 seconds on the clock and they're still walking like they have all the time in the world. Sometimes you just have to burst out and make a play. Just gotta be aggressive, even though you're giving them information. The audio cue, you have no choice really. My game just crashed. I guess I was in the custom lobby for too long. But pretty much you gotta know when to run, when to walk. Understand the positioning of all your enemies. You know, if you know 2 people are in A site, you can go ahead and full sprint to C. And just stuff like that. Go ahead and watch tons of VODs and play a lot of games. And you'll kind of understand the positioning and awareness. And also it is good to have a mental note of which agent plays where on what location. That was actually pretty random that my game crashed. That's never happened. But anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know if you guys want to have a certain type of video to be more specific on certain agents or certain maps, certain sides. I do kind of want to do tips for defending, tips for attacking, per map, per agent, maybe even stuff like that. There's a lot to go over in this game. But yeah, thanks for watching. In case you didn't know, I stream on Twitch almost every single day, twitch.tv/SouloTV. Make sure you leave a like, and in the comments below, if you made it to the end of the video, can you put #bronze in the comments? That way I know you made it to the end of the video and it might have helped you out or not. And let me know what you liked and didn't like about the video. I'm always, you know, open to criticism to improve these videos. Thanks for watching. Peace.